Hello, I'm Samaria.
Welcome to Power APAC.
Today we are having our Black History program for 2019.
Welcome to our 2019 Black History program.
We hope you will be inspired,
We'll reflect upon the past and the future,
but most of all, make plans for how you plan to make your mark in history.
and to do miraculous works.
Let's begin with a monologue and an African dance.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Welcome aboard Celebrity Discipleship, making stops at Bach, Port Euclid, Havana, before our final destination of Sogan. Hi, I'm Miss Pat, and I'll be serving you here at Cabin A. We'll be crossing the Atlantic at high altitudes, so shackles must be worn at all times. To put on your shackles, take your right hand and secure the metal around your lip, like so. Repeat the action using your left hand to your right. If you have trouble bonding yourself, I'd be more than happy to assist. Once we reach the desired altitude, the captain will put on the fasten your shackle sign, allowing you a chance to stretch and then send it out. Also, we ask that you please refrain from call and response singing, since that sort of thing, it leads to rebellion. Also, we ask that no drums be allowed on board. Repeat after me. No drums. No drums. With a little bit more enthusiasm, please. No drums. No drums. That was great. Once we're airborne, I'll be back with magazine, and earphones can be purchased for the price of your first one. Thank you for flying Celebrity.
I'm Shanina Carmichael, and I'm a teaching and performing artist specializing in West African dance. Drums were used on the vessels that took our ancestors here as a revolt or rebellion tool. They could beat out symbols, they could beat out codes that would let us know it is time to take this ship over. It is time to resist. It is time to try to make our way back home. So I'm glad that history was shared, that drums were not allowed. Drums are not allowed, and people were not allowed to speak their native language, because in those native languages and in that native music was symbols and was opportunities for us to communicate with ourselves without our captors knowing what we were saying. I'm here today to share a song and rhythm called Sorsene. Can I hear you say Sorsene? Sorsene means to rise up in the Baga language. Can you say rise up? Rise up. So, Sorsene is a song that is done pre-initiation. So we have our own rites of passages, we have Girl Scouts, we have Boy Scouts, we have these different programs that prepare you for womanhood or for manhood. We have similar programs or similar things that we would do on the continent of Africa to prepare our youth to take their rightful place as adults. So this song and this dance was done for those youth to warn them that life may not be easy. There may be some challenges that come. But with the backing of your community, with each other, you guys can rise up. So in every West African song or dance, there's an accompanying, there's a dance that is done to a particular rhythm.
Growing up in rural Holmes County, Linda Anderson never dreamed she'd one day be an attorney, let alone a federal judge. She grew up on a farm and attended public schools before attending Holmes Junior College. Linda graduated from Jackson State University and was a school teacher for several years. Married with 2 sons, Linda became interested in consumer law. She went to law school at Mississippi College while still working full-time and raising her 2 little boys. She graduated and started working as a clerk at the Mississippi Supreme Court for 2 years before working in the Hinds-Yazoo County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor. Today, she is a magistrate judge, a federal position appointed by the judges of the Southern District. Please join me in welcoming Magistrate Judge Linda Anderson.
I used to be a teacher, and that's one of my favorite jobs. I taught in Jackson Public Schools for 6 to 7 years at Key and Green and Morrison schools. But there was something else that I grew up wanting to do. I grew up in Holmes County, Mississippi. And Holmes County, unfortunately, has the distinction of being one of the poorest counties, or the poorest county, in the poorest state. I wanted to be an attorney, but I didn't even tell anybody that because I thought people would laugh at me. School graded F, poor town. And it's a story about a teacher who stays in Lexington, which is where I went to school, and continued to teach there in spite of the conditions because she says the students needed her. These F-graded schools are the same schools that I graduated from. That's where I came from. That's my home. I learned a lot. I learned about working hard, about treating people right, back home on the farm. And I picked cotton. I fed cows and hogs. And even though I wanted to be a lawyer, I thought there were reasons why I couldn't. I attended schools that were all black. We couldn't go to the library. It was whites only. I never went to the movies till I was in college because the movies were segregated. But things have changed so much, and we've come so far. We still have places to go. We have room to grow. I became a teacher because my role models were teachers. My mom was a teacher. My Sunday school teacher was a teacher. Because I had role models, people that could guide me, I did what they did. There were no black attorneys. There were no black lawyers for me to talk to. I never met one. I guess that's good. That means I wasn't in trouble. But I didn't know anybody. And I decided that I couldn't be a lawyer because I was poor, I was female, I was black, and I was country. I'm still country. I'm still black. I'm still female. And I'm proud of it. So I want you to know that wherever you are and whatever you do, you can go wherever you want to go. When I came onto the court, Judge Henry Wingate was the only black judge on the court. He'd been there for about 20 years. in the history of Mississippi, in the entire state. When I was appointed in 2012 as a magistrate judge, I became the second black to sit on the court. The first female, and I'm still the only female when all of the federal judges get together. But being black hasn't stopped me. Do you hear me? Being female hasn't stopped me. Do you hear me? Being country hasn't stopped me. Do you hear me? As magistrate judge, we're sort of the gateway to the courts. We're the first persons people see when they come into the courts. If you're suing somebody, you start with us, we manage the case. If you're in criminal trouble, you start with us because I see so many young people brought in handcuffs and the chains that we talked about, those wrist bracelets. But now it's because of our conduct in some instances. And I want you to be careful about your conduct because I don't want to see any of you in front of me unless you're coming in as a lawyer or one of the marshals or a court reporter or somebody working in that office. I see so many young people who make the wrong choices. They pick the wrong friends. They made the bad decisions. They decided to drop out of school. So all of you are doing the right thing. You are in school. And I need you to stay in school because you're making the right choices. And when I tell you about my job and what I do, I'm not bragging. I'm telling you, if I can do it, you can do it. I am an ordinary person. Nothing special about me, nothing different about me than from you. Some of you may even be much smarter than me. Some of you have had more experiences. Some of you are probably more secure going in. I stand in front of you to tell you where I came from and to tell you where I've gone, and that you, no matter where you come from, whether you're rich, poor, whether you're male, whether you're female, whether you're a town kid or a country kid, I want you to know that you can source an A. You can what? Source an A. Right on.
For many music fans, the Motown sound is the defining sound from the 1960s pop, R&B, and soul music. The distinctive musical style became synonymous with the Detroit studio where the songs were recorded and the stars who sang them. Signature sound characteristics include a strong, steady 4-beat drum tempo, frequent use of strings and horns, pop vocal stylings embellished with gospel-influenced chorals, and complex chord changes and sophisticated melodies. It also used tambourines to accent the backbeat, prominent and often melodic electric bass guitar lines, and a call-and-response singing style that originated in gospel music. We will now hear from the vocal department, singing some hits from the Motown era. Two small ensembles will be singing My Guy and Shop Around. After that, we will hear from the whole vocal ensemble singing a medley entitled With Love from Motown.
Espy was born in Yazoo City, Mississippi. Espy attended Howard University in Washington, D.C. and was active in student politics. Holding several elective positions, he earned his Juris Doctor from Santa Clara University School of Law in California in 1978. In November 1986, Espy was elected as a Democrat to the 100th Congress from Mississippi's 2nd Congressional District to become the first African American to represent Mississippi at the federal level since Reconstruction. In 2008, Espy became an attorney at Morgan & Morgan. One of his notable cases was the Pickford lawsuit, where Espy worked in conjunction with a black farmers advocacy group, the National Black Farmers Association, to represent those farmers. Please give a Power APAC welcome to Mr. Mike Espy.
There's three things. You're smart, you are determined, and you are well behaved. I want to let you know that it is easier for you than it has been for some of those who've come before you. If we come before you, we talk about heroes and the heroines and those who sacrificed and bled and died and toiled for the right just for us to be here today, for the right for you to be smart and determined and well behaved. It's easier for you, not that it's easy, but it's easier for you than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years and 50 years ago. You know, you always hear about Martin Luther King, you always hear about Medgar Evers, you always hear about so many others and everything they did. But one of my personal people that I think about is a woman named Fannie Lou Hamer. She lived in Ruleville, Mississippi, which is in Sunflower County in the Mississippi Delta, not too far from here. And she grew up picking cotton. She was a sharecropper, but she decided she wanted more. She wanted to be a congresswoman, and that was 1964. We've had the right to vote, you know, since the 1860s, the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. And so she led a movement for black people to be able to vote. And in order for them to vote actively, she said, maybe I should be on the ballot. Maybe I should run for something to encourage them to come out and get registered and come out and vote. And guys, that was dangerous. But here she was, a black woman, deciding that she would fearlessly offer herself for public office. So she ran for congressman from the 2nd Congressional District in 1964. And she ran, she didn't win, but she was the North Star. She was the impetus. She was the reason so many black folks felt enough courage to go and register to vote. And guess what happened to her? Some bad folks came and took her to jail, and they beat her, and they blooded her, and they made her ill, and they tried to kill her just for being that leader. I'm not talking about 1864, I'm talking about 1964. And so she didn't win, but she provided the reason that I decided to run for Congress in 1986. The same position, the same seat as Fannie Lou Hamer in 1986. And guess what? I won. That's why it's easier. It was easy for me than it was for her. And it's easy for you now than it was for us. All black schools and all white schools. No black student could go to a white school. No white student would go to a black school. And that's the same scenario that I came up in, except that in Yazoo City, Mississippi, where I grew up, we had a third school. It was a Catholic school. And you could go if you were white, but there weren't any whites that went to that school. It was pretty small. But it closed. So my parents, they had to make a decision. Should we send Mike and Michelle to the all-black school, or should we send Mike and Michelle to the all-white school? Now, that's a pretty tough decision for parents. And you know, we didn't get a vote, my twin sister and myself, because if I had a vote, I'd go to the all-black school. They didn't have the same resources. They didn't have the same books. Even though there was a Supreme Court case called Brown v. Board of Education that said all schools are equal, they weren't. And so my parents made a decision, send Mike and Michelle to the all-white school. There were 17 black students in a student body of 800. It was the worst time of my life. Here I am in 10th grade. I'm sitting in class every day, and they would call the roll, just like they call the roll maybe here. But every day I was the N-word. So imagine going to school every morning, knowing you could be the N-word that day, no matter who it was that called you, but I mean the teachers. And then one day I was in a chemistry class, and I fell asleep, and I was awakened by this cold froth all over my body. It was so cold, it was stinging cold, it was popping all around my ears. And I saw Mr. Richardson standing over me with a fire extinguisher and sprayed my whole body, the teacher. And all the kids were laughing. So I said, well, the thing they're trying to do is to make us leave. The thing they're trying to do is make it so difficult for us that we'd be afraid to come back. The thing they're trying to do is put obstacles in our way so that we can't be excellent. And I came back to class, and I finished that class, and we graduated. We went on to college, went on to law school, became first black congressman from Mississippi since Reconstruction, became the first black cabinet secretary of agriculture, enough so that I could run for the United States Senate and just miss it by 3%. The school is no longer open, it's closed. But they changed the name of the road in front of that school. It used to be called Canal Boulevard. You know what it's called now? Mike Espy Boulevard. So that's what I want to tell you. You can be smart, and you can be determined, you can be well, because I'm not saying it's easy. You still got to get up when you don't want to. You still got to study when you rather go with your friends. You still gotta get the lesson when you want to go to the movies. But it's easy for you that it was for Fannie Lou Hamer, that it was for Judge Anderson. But that means that you got an easy road, that you can do better. You're already smart. You're already at the top of your class. You're already doing really well. So just buckle down. You've got great teachers, great principal. You got a great environment. You got a school board really trying to prompt and send the resources this way. You are already here. Just excel. Just don't quit. Just study. And you will be the best that you can be. Thank God for you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
We would like to thank you all for coming to our 2019 Black History program. We hope you were inspired, reflected, and most of all, made a plan for how you are going to make your mark in history and go on to do great and miraculous works.
I think it's really important for our scholars to hear from individuals who have had a huge impact on not just Mississippi, but society in general. In my 7 years of administration, I have never seen such a phenomenal Black History program. So thank you to Ms. Hatcher and Ms. Phillip and their committee for making this happen. Of course, I want to thank Ms. Carmichael, the Judas School, our very own vocal department. Thank you all for sharing your talents with us. We are such a unique school, and I really hope that you all understand the opportunity that's given to you. There are 24,000 students in Jackson Public Schools. 2.7% attend Power APAC from 4th through 12th grade. 2.7%. Do something with it. Make your mark on society. Leave the world a better place than you found it. That's your responsibility as a citizen. You all are phenomenal individuals. I am so proud of you. Please, please, please stay focused on the tasks ahead and the responsibilities that you have.